Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back with another video. It's pretty early in the morning that I'm recording this because I was just so excited to go ahead and get get this video out to you guys. It is currently 7:36 in the morning where I am. Um, but yeah, since December's drawing to a close, I thought, what better way to close out the year than with my top 10 albums of the year list? So I do have a little disclaimer. I'm going to have one honorable mention, and two of the albums that are going to be mentioned in this video, I don't have physical copies of, so I apologize for that. But yeah, you'll see what I mean as the video goes along. But well, I don't want this video to be too long of me just droning on, so let's get started. The one honorable mention that I'm going to have, and oh, I didn't bring it with me. That's all right. I do have this album, but I was debating whether to put it on the list at all. The honorable mention goes to Spiritbox and their debut album, Eternal Blue. Now, the reason why this is an honorable mention and didn't actually make the cut for me is because the album was a little too it was a little too electronic like for my taste, and I wasn't expecting that, especially with such hit songs like Circle with Me, Secret Garden, Hurt You, I think was the other one that came out. I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of caught me off guard. And you guys know how I feel about electronics and rock music, but I do like it if I feel it's done correctly. And you'll see what I mean coming up in my number 10 spot. But yeah, it's nothing against Spiritbox at all. I mean, Spiritbox has a great future ahead of them, and if they keep it up, they keep going the path that they're going, they are no doubt going to be the next biggest band. I could see them easily touring with the likes of Breaking Benjamin and maybe bands like Skillet, 3 Days Grace, Saint Asonia. I could see them easily opening for Breaking Benjamin one day. But yeah, honorable mention goes to Spiritbox's debut album, Eternal Blue. Okay, guys, let's get into number 10, shall we? This is a band that I'm kind of hit or miss with, and I have been ever since they came out, really. And this is going to make me seem like the biggest hypocrite in the world based on what I just said about me not liking electronics and rock music, but only if it's done right. And in my opinion, this album is where it's done right. So number 10, we have Starset with their latest album, Horizons. Now, when I went into this album, I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I did, because their last album, Divisions, well, it was just that. It was very divisive. A lot of people either really liked it or really hated it, and I was on the hated side. But yeah, I feel like Starset is just kind of hit and miss with some of their albums. Now, their very first album that was more rock oriented, what was it called? Transmissions, I think. Yeah, that album was fine. I have nothing bad to say about that album. Then Vessels took me a full year to get into because of the electronics, and I think it really worked for them. Then Divisions came out, and I wasn't sold on that, but this one, their newest album, Horizons, I thoroughly enjoyed this when I heard it. Songs like Icarus, Leaving This World Behind, where's that other one I really liked? Oh, Otherworldly, I really liked that one. Annihilated Love. There's a lot of really good stuff on this album. And to me, this was a good comeback from an album that, as I said, was very divisive. It divided the fans in the community. So yeah, good job, Starset. Number 10, Starset, Horizons. Good stuff. Okay, moving on. Number 9, we have Rise Against with their album Nowhere Generation. Now, I was really excited when I heard that Rise Against was going to be putting out a new album this year. This album came out all the way back in June, and I gotta be honest, despite it being number 9, I haven't really listened to this album as much as I would have liked to. It's just because you know how it is, the trend, another band comes out with an album that you like, and then you get off of this band, then you go to this band, it happens. And I wasn't intending on this one to get lost in the shuffle, but this is a really good album with songs like, Nowhere Generation, the title track, Talking to Ourselves, Broken Dreams Incorporated. Those are my 3 favorite songs back to back to back on the album. Monarch, Forfeit. I mean, you can't go wrong with any song off of this album, really. But if I had to pick my favorite one, it would probably be Talking to Ourselves. That one was stuck in my head probably a week after I heard this album. For a week, I should say. So yeah, good job, Rise Against. Rise Against, number 9, Nowhere Generation. Good stuff. Okay, now, number 8. This is going to be an album that I don't have the physical copy of, and it's a band called Holding Absence, and the album's called The Greatest Mistake of My Life. When I first heard the singles, and I'm trying to remember what they were, Beyond Belief, Afterlife, and In Circles, I think was also a single. I knew that I wanted to hear this album in full when it came out. And when it came out, I was a little iffy on if I was going to include it in my list. But the more I kept listening to it, and the more that I kept really diving into the other cuts on the album, I decided that it was definitely worthy of being on this list. And I'm sorry I don't have the physical copy of it, but I do plan on getting it soon. Yeah, songs like Beyond Belief, Afterlife, In Circles, which is my favorite song off the whole album. Some of the songs are very mellow. They're very atmospheric, I would say. The ambience is just very, very telling throughout the whole album, and I really like that about the album. So yeah, number 8, Holding Absence, The Greatest Mistake of My Life. Good job. Okay, number 7, we have Phineas, The Fire Inside. The Fire Itself. Excuse me, I misspoke. Now, this was one of my most anticipated albums of the year when I found out that they would be releasing a new album. For those of you who aren't too familiar with Phineas, they're a Christian metalcore band signed to Solid State Records, and they've been going for a pretty good while now. I think their first album came out in 2013, I believe, which was a phenomenal album. And on here, songs like Eternally Apart, The Fire Itself, the title track, Severed by Self-Betrayal, In the Night. I mean, there's not a bad song on this album, in my opinion. If metalcore is your thing, as you guys all know, that's my thing. That's my favorite genre. Yeah, you can't go wrong. I mean, screams are fantastic, the cleans are fantastic, the instrumentals are fantastic, in my opinion. And I would say that this album actually rivals their last album, Black Flag, that came out back in 2017, I believe. I think it's right on par with that. I'm not going to go ahead and say that I think this album is better than Dark Flag, but I definitely think it gives it a run for its money. So yeah, number 7, Phineas, The Fire Itself. Good job. Okay, now this is the part of the show where I'm probably going to get some hate. Number 6, this album came out of nowhere for me, and I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Number 6, Black Veil Brides, The Phantom Tomorrow. Now hold on now. I know how a lot of you feel about Black Veil Brides. They're too emo, whatever. But I think you have to give this album a little bit of credit. I was not expecting this album to be as good as it was. And I'm not even a true fan of Black Veil Brides. if I'm being completely honest with you guys, this is the first album of theirs that I've ever heard in full. I'll try to keep it in frame. But yeah, songs like Scarlet Cross, Blackbird, my personal favorite, Crimson Skies. I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs that have come out this year. I stand by that. The only song on this album I'm not really a fan of is the song Kill the Hero. I don't know, I think it just kind of brings the momentum down a bit before you get to the last song. But I think you got to give these guys credit where it's due. I went into this not expecting anything much, but I would even go as far as to say I was blown away by this. And I know to you guys, that's probably not saying much, but for a guy who wasn't expecting much, I thoroughly enjoyed this album. And after all, that this is my top 10. It's not your top 10. It's mine. This is how I feel. And I think you got to give the devil their due. Yeah, Scarlet Cross, Blackbird, Crimson Skies, The Wicked One. That's another real good one on this album. To me, but other than the song Kill the Hero, to me there's not a bad song on this album either. So Black Veil Bride's coming in at number 6, The Phantom Tomorrow. Good job, guys. Okay, top 5 time. I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this. Oh, well, before we get into the top 5, I do have another honorable mention that I kind of forgot about, and this is another album that I don't have the physical copy of, so I apologize. And you guys are going to hate me for this one. You're really going to hate me for this one. You guys, if you guys thought that Black Veil Brides being in my top 10 at all was controversial, you're really going to find this controversial. I have to put Iron Maiden, Senjutsu, I can't say it properly, their newest album in my honorable mentions. And I want you guys to not misunderstand what I'm saying. I love Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is actually my favorite classic metal band. And when I heard that they were coming out with a new album, I was so excited for it. And I do think that it's a really good album. But I just heard more. I thought that better albums came out. That's all I'm trying to say. So please don't hate me for that. I love Iron Maiden. The album is really, really good. Just once again, this is my personal opinion. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, back to the top 5. I apologize. Anyway, number 5, we have the band Caskets with their album Lost Souls. Now, this is actually this band's debut album as well. See, these guys actually didn't used to go by the name Caskets. They were called Captives, but because I think there was a dispute where another band had the same name, so they were forced to change it. But yeah, this album is fantastic in my opinion. Songs like Hold Me Now, Lost in Echoes, The Final Say, which is my personal favorite from the album, One More Time, and Nothing to Hide. These guys did a fantastic job, and if you're a fan of bands where the lead singer's voice is kind of high, and I'm not talking about Sleeping with Sirens high, I'm talking about maybe like, I don't think of the punk genre. That's the only other thing I can think of to compare it to. Then you'll kind of see what this band is like. But they did a fantastic job. All of these songs on here are very thought-provoking. They're very heart-wrenching. They're very full of emotion. And especially the song The Final Say. I mean, that song gets to me every time I hear it. It doesn't make me cry or tear up, but I can feel every word that he's portraying. Every word that he's saying. And that's what music's supposed to do, right? You're supposed to be able to feel it. and you definitely can throughout this whole album. So, number 5, Caskets, Lost Souls, fantastic debut album, guys. Okay, number 4. It's no surprise how much I love Howard Jones. To me, I think he's the best vocalist in metalcore, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Not really, I'm a pacifist. Anyway, this, number 4, is his band Light the Torch with their album You Will Be the Death of Me. Fantastic album. I don't really talk about it that much. I may have done a review on this album a while back. I'm not sure. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But fantastic album. Howard Jones can do no wrong. With songs like More Than Dreaming, Let Me Fall Apart, Wilting in the Light, Become the Martyr, which is my personal favorite. Being such a huge Howard Jones fan from his Killswitch Engage days, that's what made me a huge fan. I love his vocal style. I love how deep and melodic his voice gets. His screams are absolutely brutal and phenomenal. And in this album, I think it's really kind of cool. You don't really get Howard Jones screaming as much as he did when he was in Killswitch Engage, but it's there. It's definitely there. You hear more of the melodic side. And I think that's really cool. That's really awesome that they did that. Very, very good album. Very good album. Howard Jones can do no wrong. So yeah, number 4, Light the Torch, You Will Be the Death of Me. Great album. Alright guys, here we go. Top 3. Are you excited? I know I am. Number 3, Dream Theater, A View from the Top of the World. Yeah. What can I say? There's only 7 songs on this album, but the songs are all really long. You know Dream Theater's style, especially progressive bands. They're known for having really long songs. That can either be a detriment to me or the greatest thing ever, because sometimes I'm not exactly... what's the word? When I listen to music and I find that the song is taking too long, it kind of decreases the experience for me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but with this album, it did just the opposite of that. It enhanced it for me. And the very last song, which is the title track, A View from the Top of the World, is 20 minutes and 24 seconds. They have a 20-minute song. Wow. But with songs like Answering the Call, Invisible Monster, Sleeping Giant, my personal favorite, you can't go wrong with this. I mean, Dream Theater did a phenomenal job on this album, and that's a big reason why it's in my top 3 is because I'm fairly new to Dream Theater. I've tried to get into Dream Theater for a couple of years now, and for whatever reason, it just never clicked for me. I couldn't get into the lead singer's voice. It wasn't the musicianship, it wasn't the instruments, the instrumentals, it was just the voice. But now that I actually took the time to really listen to their 1992 album, Images and Words, which is still my favorite for now, I was more than willing to give this one a chance, and I'm really glad that I did. I didn't expect it to be so high on my list. So, does Dream Theater being so high on my list, does that make up for me having Iron Maiden as an honorable mention? I hope so. That's not why I did it. I'm just asking in a joking manner. But yeah, phenomenal album. Dream Theater, they did it. They really did it. A View from the Top of the World, number 3, great album. Alright guys, last 2. Number 2, this was really hard for me. It really was. These last 2, I'll give you a hint, they're both metalcore albums. I know, big shocker, right? Metalcore boy's gonna pick metalcore as his last two. No, that's just the way it turned out, guys. Anyway, number 2, we have Beartooth, Below. Now, Beartooth is famous for songs like The In-Between, Hated, Fair Weathered Friend. When this album came out, I didn't really know what to expect because their last album, what was it called? Disease. Some of the songs on that album didn't really do it for me, if I'm being completely honest. But when this album came out, I was absolutely mind blown. It's still a classic Beartooth, but they really incorporated a lot of newer versions of what they've already been doing, if that makes sense. With songs like Devastation, The Past is Dead, No Return, Phantom Pain. I think No Return's definitely my favorite song off of this whole album. I mean, the musicianship is fantastic. Caleb Shomo, the lead singer, his voice is very, very good, very unique, I would say. It's funny, it seems like the albums that I really love, I can't really describe, but I can go on and on and on about an album I don't like. But I don't really know what to say. I mean, there's not a bad song on this album, from the first to the last. So yeah, Beartooth, Below at number 2. Really great job. Alright guys, if you stuck with me this far, I know I've gone 22 minutes now. But, it's a special occasion. Alright guys, number 1, drum roll please. It's the worst drum roll in the history of drum rolls, I know. Number 1, my top album of 2021 goes to Wage War, Manic. Now, Wage War is another Christian metalcore band, kind of like Phineas from earlier. But these guys are signed to Fearless Records. Some of you may or may not be shocked by this. There's one song on this album that I absolutely cannot stand, and it's the title track, Manic. I don't know what they were thinking while trying that, but the rest of the album is fantastic. From the song Relapse, Teeth, Circle the Drain, Never Said Goodbye, True Colors, If Tomorrow Never Comes. It's really a who's who of hits, in my opinion. They did a fantastic job. There's some different stuff in here too. There's some electronics in here too. I know that a hypocrite, right, because of what I said earlier, but it's very sporadically placed in throughout the album, especially on songs like Relapse and Teeth. You can definitely hear some electronic influences, but it's mostly rock and metalcore. But that song Manic, that doesn't do it for me at all. To me, the title track, Manic, is an example of overdoing it with electronics. That's what I don't like. But other than that, yeah, this is my favorite album of the year. Number 1, Wage War, Manic. Fantastic album. Minus Manic. Whew. Alright guys, if you stuck with me this far, I truly, truly appreciate it. What do you guys think of my list? I already know what you're going to think of a couple of selections and decisions that I made, but again, this is my personal opinion. If you guys have a different opinion, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your albums of the year was. Do they match up with mine? Are they different? Tell me. Tell me in the comments below. And this will probably be my final video of 2021, and I will see you guys next year. Take care.